Hi folks, today I thought I'd talk once again about one of a runner's favorite subject, and that is your glutes. It is important that your glutes be strong and active. So your glutes, if you don't know, your glutes are your butt muscles. You actually have 3 of them, but you want to use your glutes to motor your running. They're the most powerful muscle you have. They're going to give you more speed, more endurance. If you don't use your glutes, you tend to overuse the hamstrings, which is going to lead to hamstring problems, or you overuse the quads. You use the legs themselves too much rather than using those butt muscles to push them forward. As I said, your glutes have to be strong and they have to be active. So it's possible for you to have really strong glutes, but if they're not active, they're not doing you any good. And it's also possible to have active glutes that aren't very strong, although I think that's a lot less likely. So if you need tips on how to get strong glutes, you can just search on YouTube. There are tons of different exercises that you can do to help strengthen those glutes, as well as things that you can do to keep them active. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about a common thing that I see with a lot of runners, myself sometimes included, that will prevent your glutes from being active. And by working on this, you might be able to take glutes, if they are strong already, and be able to use them a little bit more. So think of your pelvis as a bowl. So if you've got some anatomy and you picture the skeleton, the pelvis is kind of bowl-like. So I'm going to have a bowl here as an example. This is kind of what your pelvis looks like, if you will. It's a bowl. So there's an example that I heard someplace, I didn't make this up, said when you're running, you want to make sure that you don't spill the milk. So what do I mean by that? So picture your pelvis is this bowl, and it is filled to the brim with milk. Your goal when you're running is to keep, if I can get a level on my camera, is to keep your pelvis level so you don't spill any milk out. If you tilt your pelvis, you're going to spill some milk, and you don't want spilled milk because then you got to stop and clean that up. So let's talk about what you can do. How do you know? Do you have a level pelvis? What does that look like? So I'm going to try and manipulate the camera here a little bit. So hopefully you can see here as I look at my waistband. So right now, my butt is back a little bit. You can look at the waistband and you can see that it's angled ever so slightly down. In other words, I am spilling my milk. And a lot of people will run in that position. When you do that, your glutes are effectively locked out. They're not going to fire. What you want is this shift. See, I just shift. I'm not shifting the rest of my body. I'm just shifting the pelvis. And you can see the waistband is now level. My bowl is level. I'm not spilling my milk. That's the position that you want to be in when you're running. And when you're in that position when you're running, that's going to allow those glutes to activate. Now, it is still possible they won't activate because there's other things going on with the glutes, but that's usually a big thing, is that the pelvis is tilted, your butt is back a little bit, your glutes aren't going to work, so you want to be able to run like that. So what most people are going to do is say, well, okay, I'm just going to concentrate on that when I'm running. That's good, and you should do that, but that's not going to work very well. If you're out for a 30-minute run and you can hold your attention to getting that pelvis in the right position for more than 30 seconds at a time, that's a lot. Your body's just going to kind of automatically go back to whatever it's comfortable doing as soon as you're used to it. So what you really want to do is work on your flexibility and your core strength. So flexibility is primarily going to be in the hip flexors. There's some other flexibility in there as well. And then core strength. And core, again, I stole this from somebody else. Think of your core as being from your knees to your nipples. That's your whole core. But if you have good core strength and you have good flexibility, in particular with the hip flexors, then you want to be in a position, get out there again, where your pelvis is just like this automatically. One thing you can try and do is just kind of stand up and in your natural posture and see where does it go. If your natural posture is back here, which is common for a lot of people from sitting, then you want to work on that flexibility and core strength, because you want that when you just stand up, your pelvis is automatically like that. And I think you'll find that if you can start to run with your pelvis so you're nice and level and you're not spilling that milk, then you're going to be able to run faster and be able to use your glutes more and let those power you along and hopefully have fewer issues with the hamstrings and everything else. So again, when running, don't spill the milk.